I'm Beverly Childs, Executive Director of the Anderson County Museum. I hope you and your family are safe and healthy. As we navigate through this time in history where we're closed to the public, we are finding ways to share history and content with you online. Today, I want to share with you some of the trailblazing women of Anderson County. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. Revolutionary War heroine Anne Kennedy was hailed for her bravery and patriotism. Born in Browns Creek in Union County, South Carolina in 1761, Kennedy lived in her father's household during the war years. Anne defended her home against raiding Tories shortly after the Battle of the Blackstocks. She saved her home and family, but her arm was permanently crippled in the process. Anne went on to inform American generals of British movements and troop strength, also serving as a liaison between military leaders and local settlers. She would marry Thomas Hamilton in 1782 and had 12 children. Anne Kennedy Hamilton passed away in 1836. Pearl Rogers Cochran Fant was a pioneer in women's work, a champion of conservation and environmental causes, an advocate of education, and an avid historian who gave tirelessly of herself and of her resources to benefit the community. Highly involved in Anderson beautification and improvement projects, Mrs. Fant organized and led the Civic Association of Anderson that took the initiative in beautifying sections of the city of Anderson and providing recreational parks for public use. These projects included the building of the Robert Anderson Memorial Fountain, now located at the Anderson County Museum, and its surrounding park, Buena Vista Park, which was established near Mrs. Fant's home on River Street. Mrs. Fant's home was called Hollywood and set in the midst of a grove of edible bamboo from the Orient. Mrs. Fant was known for the planting of trees and exotic plants in the Anderson City Square. She was a founding member of several organizations, including the Hudsonbury chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the DAR's Tomassi School, and the Electric City Garden Club. Mrs. Fant passed away in June of 1948. Virginia Cramer Gilmer. While many individuals played a role in the building of a hospital to serve the residents of Anderson County, none was more important to the fulfillment of the dream than Jenny Gilmer. She provided the spark, the fire, and the leadership that turned the talk of a pack of foolish women into a hospital that throughout its history has been among the best in the state. In the early 1900s, Anderson County residents who were ill or injured were typically cared for in their homes. Hospitalization was rarely an option for most residents and required a long trip to a facility either in Columbia or out of state. A humanitarian with a charitable heart, Ms. Gilmer was known to fret about the conditions in which those in need received medical care. Her feelings about the need for a hospital were brought further into focus during the birth of her first child. Following a difficult home delivery, Mrs. Gilmer was quoted as saying, "I made a promise to God right then that if He would let me live to take care of my child, I'd see that a hospital was built." Few shared Ms. Gilmore's vision for making Anderson County a better and healthier place to live and work. In May of 1904, her initial efforts to build support for a hospital were loudly rejected by many residents who felt such a facility was unnecessary. The cost to build a hospital was estimated at a staggering $25,000. Mrs. Gilmore confronted her opposition with perseverance, faith, and a total commitment to do what was right. She overcame insurmountable obstacles to realize her dream of a hospital for Anderson County, which opened in April 1908. Mrs. Gilmer lived with her husband and children in the Swan Gilmer house and passed away in 1962. Jane Edna Hunter was born at the Woodburn Plantation in Pendleton, South Carolina, on December the 13th, 1882, to former slaves. She took advantage of the limited educational opportunities and completed junior high in 1899 at Abbeville's William and Ferguson Academy. In 1900, she entered into a brief marriage to Edward Hunter. She left him and moved to Charleston within a year, where she trained as a nurse. In 1905, she went to live in Cleveland, Ohio, and encountered difficulties finding decent lodging and nursing work, and saw the need for an agency to assist African American women who moved to Cleveland in search of honest work and a better life. In 1911, she founded the Working Girls Association with the aid of 7 friends who saved a nickel a week and said a prayer for the project. It was named the Phyllis Wheatley Association in honor of an early American slave woman poet. The association became her life work, and eventually a multi-state network of 10 Phyllis Wheatley organizations was developed. In 1925, Hunter graduated from Baldwin Wallace College Law School and passed the Ohio bar. She also served on the board of directors for the NAACP. Jane Hunter never forgot her South Carolina home. She made frequent visits to the Pendleton area. In 1949, Hunter established the National Phyllis Wheatley Foundation to provide college scholarships to women from Ohio and South Carolina. After a lifetime of service to others, Jane Hunter died in Cleveland in January 1971. A Nickel and a Prayer, Hunter's autobiography, was published in 1940 and republished in 2011. Cavalleria Pruitt was born November 2, 1884, in Anderson County, and was the first daughter of 11 children. Mrs. Pruitt attended Winthrop College and pursued pre-med. After 3 years, she entered the Women's Medical College of Baltimore and completed her postgraduate work at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Dr. Pruitt returned home and stood for the South Carolina State Board of Examination as the only female of 108 applications. Dr. Harrison Pruitt, her brother, graduated from medical school the same year, and they established their practice in Anderson in 1911. Dr. Pruitt was the college physician for 44 years for Anderson College. During the 1918 influenza epidemic, Dr. Pruitt and the volunteer students nursed most of the faculty and the student body. Dr. Pruitt considered the duration of the epidemic her hardest period of practice. She eventually became sick herself, but Anderson College never closed its doors because of the illness and never lost a student to the illness. Dr. Pruitt delivered generations of Anderson County residents, with one graduating class of Anderson High School, having 26 of her babies in that class. Dr. Ogle Pruitt died June 20th, 1970, at the age of 85. Annie Dove Denmark was born September the 29th, 1887, in Goldsboro, North Carolina. She graduated from the local public schools in 1904, already an accomplished musician, serving the Second Baptist Church of Goldsboro as organist since the age of 10. Dr. Denmark attended Meredith College, from which she received her artist diploma in piano. Dr. Denmark came to Anderson College in 1917 as an instructor of piano and harmony. While she was teaching, she also took courses at Anderson College, graduating in 1925. She served as the Dean of Women from 1925 until 1928, and from 1928 until her retirement in 1953 as the president of Anderson College. She was the first woman president of any South Carolina college. She led Anderson College through the difficult years of the Depression by converting the four-year women's college into an institution that admitted both men and women. She became a pioneer in education by promoting the then new concept of a junior college. Additionally, she was the first woman to be president of the Baptist State Convention in 1950. In 1941, Dr. Denmark was awarded an honorary doctorate degree from Furman University. She died in 1974, and to this day, membership in the Denmark Society at Anderson University is a coveted honor for graduating students. Dr. Ann Austen Young was one of the first female physicians to practice medicine in Anderson County. Born in Cross Hills, South Carolina, she graduated high school in 1906 at the age of 14 and entered Presbyterian College that same year. She graduated at the top of her class in 1910 and promptly entered nursing training at the University of Maryland. After completing her training, she returned to South Carolina and taught school in a one-room schoolhouse near Cross Hill to earn money to attend medical school. Young entered the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania in 1911, where she earned a scholarship and also worked as a lab assistant and typist to pay her way through school. She graduated in 1915 with the highest scholastic average in her class. After returning to South Carolina, she passed the South Carolina State Medical Exam with the highest grade in the history of the state. In Columbia, she joined the staff of the South Carolina Hospital for the Insane, where she supervised the treatment of over 600 female patients. While there, she developed innovative occupational therapy for female patients, even funding the program with her own funds at the onset. After her marriage to Dr. Charles Young in 1918, the two set up practice in Anderson, where Dr. Ann Young worked as an obstetrician. During a career that spanned 63 years, Dr. Young delivered over 10,000 babies. In addition to her work as an obstetrician gynecologist, Young also practiced as a surgeon and psychiatrist. In recognition of her accomplishments, she was inducted into the South Carolina Hall of Fame in 1981. Caroline Callie Freeman Stringer Rainey was born in 1917 in Belton, South Carolina, the daughter of Nancy Claire Freeman and William Kenneth Stringer. During her childhood, the Stringer family moved to Anderson, where she attended public schools. She went to Converse College in Spartanburg and graduated from Randolph-Macon Women's College in Lynchburg, Virginia in 1937. She married Dr. John Faulkner Rainey in 1939. Mrs. Rainey was active in both civic and cultural affairs in Anderson County and throughout the state of South Carolina. At the time of her death, she was a trustee of the South Carolina State Museum. She considered her active role in the acquisition of artifacts and her contribution of time and treasure to the museum as one of her major accomplishments. Mrs. Rainey was one of the moving forces to preserve the historic buildings in Anderson. She was an astute businesswoman and served on many boards. Mrs. Rainey oversaw the diversification of the family business into a Pepsi-Cola bottling operation in the 1960s. Mrs. Rainey died on December the 17th, 1990 in Anderson. The Callie Stringer Rainey Fine Arts Center, located at Anderson University, was dedicated in her memory in January 1995. It is the home of the College of Visual and Performing Arts. The Callie and John Rainey Hospice House in Anderson was dedicated in memory of Dr. and Mrs. Rainey in 1998. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay in touch with us via our Facebook page or our website, AndersonCountyMuseum.org. Let us know what you would like for us to post in the coming weeks. We look forward to the day when we can open our doors again for you.